Welcome to the Childcare Genius Podcast. Proud to be the world's #1 community for brilliant childcare leaders. Each episode will feature interviews with the brightest minds in the childcare industry to guide you into becoming a smarter business leader. Our hosts have opened 10 schools while raising 5 children. They are certified business coaches and are the top-selling childcare business book authors of all time. This episode is sponsored by Arleaf Childcare Insurance. Give Blake a call at 972-232-2258 to get a free quote on childcare business insurance today. Let's welcome to the Childcare Genius Podcast our hosts, Brian and Carol Dupre.
Welcome to episode 32 of the Childcare Genius Podcast.
Your hosts, Brian and Carol Dupre.
We're excited for this amazing part 2 of a 2-part interview today with Christine and Wade McNally.
Last week on episode 31, we interviewed Christine about how she started as a home provider and is now a multi-center owner.
So today we're going to be flipping it around and interviewing Wade McNally. Wade is a trust attorney, and he's going to be discussing the importance of having a will when your business gets big enough, setting up a trust to also protect your assets.
You're going to love this episode. Let's get them back on the line.
Hi, Wade and Christine. Welcome back to the Childcare Genius Podcast. How you guys doing?
Good.
So we're continuing on. Last week we recorded episode 31, and that was all about your kind of journey from home provider to a multi-center owner. And I thought it would be great since, Wade, you are a lawyer. You're an attorney by trade. You're licensed. Where are you licensed? What state?
In California.
In California. So anybody who's in California, he's the attorney. You know, just don't call him if you get an OUI, because I don't think that's what he does. No. But anyway, Wade, and hopefully you're not getting OUIs, but Wade is mostly a trust attorney, right?
Right. Yeah.
And we're going to talk a little bit about what that is. I didn't know a whole lot about trusts when I first got in the childcare business, but I'm learning a lot lately. And when Wade and I spent time in St. Lucia, I really got to know this specialty of law a lot better. And we're going to talk today a little bit about why you need to protect your assets and why you need to kind of cover yourself in case something happens. And I know nobody likes to think about dying, right, Wade? It's the hardest thing to talk about.
It is. It's a hard subject to, bring up and discuss, but, it's an important subject. It's, as they say, none of us are getting out of here alive. So, it's something we all need to deal with.
Yeah, but talking to somebody about insurance once, he goes, every insurance you buy, with the exception of one, is a maybe. You may be getting a car accident, you may be getting a boat accident, but life insurance is the only 100% guaranteed payout, because we're all gonna die. Now, the problem is not knowing when. If we knew when, boy, it'd be a whole different ball game as far as the way we'd live our life. And I tend to live my life as if it's my last day every day. I have been for a long time. And that way, when I do die, then I know at least I've lived life to the fullest. But a lot of people don't do that. They think they're always got tomorrow. And if you look at the obituaries, they're full of people that are our age or less and younger that thought they had another day, another week, a month, year, 10 years, 20 years left. So we need to talk about it. We have had business owners in our area die, husband and wife, in car accidents and left a business with no will and no trust, and the kids, you just don't know, and then you get kids fighting over assets. So this is why I wanted to bring that up. Ever since my first book, I brought this subject up to childcare owners as the first one to start talking about the importance of having a will. So I remember when I first met Christine 3 or 4 years ago, maybe even 5 now. I can't remember how long ago. It was quite a while. And I remember her talking about this husband who was in law school. And of course, you were just the mythical man. Didn't even know you really existed. For all I know, you're making her. I didn't really know, because we hadn't met yet. And then I remember you graduating, and it really didn't get to know you. You were never really in the picture until we got to St. Lucia. And then, well, he does exist. She wasn't embellishing her resume, and we became great friends. But talk a little bit about why you decided to become a lawyer? Because obviously you did it later in life because you don't look like a spring chicken. So I know you didn't go
Right.
to after high school. What did you do before, and why did you want to become an attorney?
Oh gosh. Yeah, so I spent most of my working life, I guess, in retail. I did retail security, retail loss prevention. That was, where I spent a long time. The law thing came about. I'm a very analytical person. So the law makes sense to my brain. I'm, a logical thinker, and so I like the way that it progresses. And then the other thing that, I always tell people of trying to explain it to them is that I always felt like, if you go to another country and they're speaking a different language and you don't speak that language, that's kind of how I felt in the world, because the law is everywhere around us. The law affects everything that we do on our daily lives. And I felt like it was this language that I didn't know. And I'm playing this game that I don't know the rules to. And I hated it. And so I had to go learn the rules. I wanted to know the rules to this game of life that we're playing. And so now, now I feel like I speak that language and I can understand what's going on in the world around me much better. So that was kind of what got me there, got me interested in it. And then I'm an estate planning attorney, as you mentioned. So I deal with wills and trusts and power of attorney and that type of thing. So that's just an area that I guess kind of always sparked my interest. As soon as I went into law school, it was something I was interested in and fascinated with. I like the idea. I've heard people who say, it's not really estate planning, it's life planning. And I found that that's so true, because estate planning, I think, gives this false sense that it's only for the wealthy, right?
Yep.
It's only for these millionaires and billionaires out there who have these vast estates and multiple properties and all of this stuff. And that's just not true. It's for everybody. Right. Anybody that's an adult should have some type of life planning in place. And so I feel like it's just such an important topic, and it's such an important part of life that's so overlooked. And like you said, it can be a hard subject to talk about sometimes. It can be a difficult subject to discuss, but it's an important one. And the way I look at it is, it's such a gift that you're giving to that next generation. If you plan, you get all your affairs in order, you've got your ducks in a row. I remember one of my grandmothers passed away when I was pretty young, and she had no estate planning. She had no planning in place. And there was fighting among the siblings, right? So my mother and her siblings, and they're fighting over the house, and they're fighting over money and who gets what and who deserves what and who should have this. And it eventually, I guess, kind of got sorted out. But there was hard feelings for a long time in the family over that. And I had another grandma who just recently passed away, and she had an estate plan in place. She had a trust, she had her will, she had her power of attorneys. Boy, what a night and day difference. The process was so much easier. There was no fighting. There was no, among her children, her wishes were made clear. She had put it on paper. She put it, this is who I want to handle this. This is who I want my assets to go to. And it just made that whole process so much easier. And in my mind, it gave them that proper opportunity to grieve that loss, instead of worrying about, oh, I got to handle the finances now. I got to handle the housing, and we got to do all of this stuff. Just gives you time to grieve the loss and do what's really important.
I love how you separated that. So let's bring this into childcare owners. So obviously we have a huge following of childcare owners, large and small. And the first thing I want to talk about is a will, because I mentioned that in my first book, the importance of having one, and most people don't have one. Majority of people don't have one. So a will is something that most people under 50 probably they don't really think about very often under 50. But why is having a will important, even if you're in your 20s or 30s and you're a business owner, or even a teacher listening? Why would it be important for you to have a will?
Yeah, so it's like you said, I think a lot of people go through life of, I've got forever, right? There's always tomorrow, and there's always another day. And I love that optimistic perspective, but you never know. Life is uncertain and things happen. And so in my opinion, anybody 18 and over, you got to have something in place, because all of us were entrepreneurs, right? We started businesses, we run businesses. And I think one of the things why we did that is we like control. We want to take control of our lives, right? We want to be in charge of our own destiny. Well, if you're not doing estate planning properly, you're letting the state take charge, basically. Every state's a little bit different, but all the states have a statutory plan in place. If you die without any estate planning, they've already got a plan, and they're going to make that plan work. Whether it works for you or your family doesn't matter, because that's the plan that you're going to be stuck with. So if you don't create your own plan, then you're relying on the state's plan, whether you like it or not. So that, to me, is the importance of having that in place. I mean, as a business owner, you felt like you had a path, right? You felt like you know the direction you want your life to go in. Well, that's the same with a will or a trust. Having estate planning in place, you're creating that path. You're putting your wishes down. You're deciding how your life is going to go, and how your life work is going to be distributed, maybe to that next generation when you pass.
I love how you put it. The state will do it for you, because you never really thought about that. But yeah, that's what happens when you go into, what's it called, when you die intestate without a will, right?
Yep, it's going to go through probate, and you're going to go, like I said, that state's got a plan, and that's what it's going to go by. If you don't have a plan, you're going by theirs.
Interesting. Well, Carol and I are in the process of setting up trust right now to protect our assets. We have sizable assets, and we don't want our kids to sell anything because it has great passive income. We want to protect everything. We don't want just selling everything, everybody getting a lump sum and then probably blowing it all within a few years, and then there's nothing left long term. So we're in the process of setting up trust the way we want to do it. So what can you describe what a trust is and why an owner would want to set one up?
Yeah. So, like I said, as entrepreneurs, as business owners, I think it's even more important, because you've got that business, and you've got maybe some more real estate assets. You've got other, things that need to be addressed there. A trust. So a trust and a will, a lot of times people get confused and they kind of use them interchangeably. They are two separate things. I recommend a trust for most adults. If you own a house, even just your primary residence, in my opinion, you should probably have a trust. A will basically it's going to do a couple things for you. You can designate a guardian. If you have minor children, you can designate, who you would want to be the guardian of those children if you were to pass. And then you can also define how you want your assets to be distributed. It kind of is limited, though. So a trust gives you a little bit more options. Number one, a trust offers you privacy. So when you pass, if you just have a will, that will has to be probated, meaning it has to be submitted to the court. It has to go through a court proceeding, and the court's going to determine that it's valid, first of all, and then it's going to be distributed according to the way that you've laid out in your will. But all of that information is going to be a part of public record. So your beneficiaries, your assets, who's getting what, how much they're getting, all of that is a matter of public record if you just have a will. If you have a trust, that information is going to be kept private. It's not going to go through the probate process. So that's one of the main benefits of having, and we're talking about a revocable living trust in this incident. One of the main benefits is that probate avoidance. So you're going to have more privacy about your assets and your beneficiaries and who's getting what, what assets are going where. You're going to have that probate avoidance, which is different in every state. But for the most part, you want to avoid probate because it's time consuming, it's costly, and like I said, it's public. It's a matter of public record. So I don't know many people who are excited about going through a probate process. I would say the final benefit to having a trust is incapacity planning. And so a will becomes effective upon your death, essentially. It doesn't do anything until you pass, and then it takes effect. A trust is going to also have what we call incapacity planning in it. And so let's say you get in an accident and you're in the hospital for an extended period of time. you can have provisions in that trust that's going to allow a trustee to come in and maybe help handle your finances when you can't. They're going to be able to come in and make sure your bills are being paid, your household's still in order, all of the stuff that needs to be taken care of is getting taken care of. So that's why I like that term life planning instead of estate planning, because you really are planning two separate parts. You're planning for life and the events that happen during life, and then you're also planning for afterlife as well.
Wow. Boy, making people think a lot of different things here. And I love the way you're making people think outside the box when it comes to life planning. And I think the way you describe trusts are amazing. Everybody that owns a house, I always think it was just for the rich as well.
Right.
Probably up until the last couple of years, I started thinking differently. And when I met you, it definitely made me think a little bit differently. And I mean, I was embarrassed that my will hasn't been updated in probably 7 years, and a lot has changed since. Just again, just and if you're listening in this audience, can I ask you that? When was the last time is it up to date? Has there anything changes? Last time I did it, my kids were teenagers and now they're adults. Things change. I have grandkids now that I didn't have before. So that,
Right.
how I want money, and own a lot more property. So everything's changed, but yet even I who teach this was guilty of not doing it because life sometimes gets in the way. And that's why we wanted to bring this episode to the forefront. So you think, okay, maybe, but what if that plane goes down? What if I'm driving in St. Lucia on that hour and a half windy road from the airport to the hotel, that you're taking your life in your own hands on the side of a cliff and it goes over. Will my estate be taken care of, or my wishes be, going there? And what about my employees? As a business owner, your employees, what will happen to them if there's no, no plan in place? Your children, how does the business? There's so many unknowns. Don't be selfish. Think about the next generation. Don't be selfish. Think about your employees. So this is the reason why you need that. And if somebody would like to set one up, what's their first step if they need to get a will or a trust set up? What would you recommend that they would do, Wade?
So I definitely recommend that you reach out to an attorney. And obviously, every state, like I said, is a little bit different, has a little bit different laws. I'm only licensed to practice in California, so I only handle clients in California. So I would recommend that you reach out to a estate planning attorney in your particular state. And you can usually go on your state bar association website and they'll have an attorney search. You could find them that way. I personally feel like you need to work with an attorney who specializes in this area. If you're going to just that hometown attorney who is, I handle criminal cases, I handle civil cases, I do a little business law, I do estate planning, I do family law. It's kind of a jack of all trades as an attorney is not a good thing, in my opinion, because you're master of none at that point. It's such a deep, I want an attorney whose knowledge is deep, not wide, if that makes any sense. Yeah. I want you to be specialized in an area and I want you to know that area really well. I don't want somebody who's dabbling in that area. And this is such an important topic. This is your life's work. And so I want to make sure that you're getting an attorney who's going to treat it with the respect that it deserves.
100% love that. Anybody can perform plastic surgery, but it doesn't mean you're going to go to your podiatrist to have him do plastic surgery on you. Even though they can legally do it, not like you'd want them to do it. And,
the other aspect, let me jump in real quick, is the DIY thing. And that's becoming very popular now. There's a lot of websites that offer do-it-yourself. Again, maybe save you a couple of bucks up front. I don't think it's worth it in the long run because they're just paper mills. They have that same format and they're going to apply it to everybody that comes in the door. And people are unique. People are individuals. Their situation is unique. Everybody has their own certain circumstances. They've got their own particular family situations, their own assets. And really, this is something that needs to be tailored to that family, that individual. It's not a one-size-fits-all situation. And so if it's, I can save $500 by going online and doing it on this website, it's not going to be worth it in the long run because it's not going to do what you wanted it to do And this is something that you want to make sure it works the right way. When it comes time for it to perform, you want it to perform. And that's what an attorney can bring you, is they're going to ask you questions along the way. Well, what about this? Have you thought about this? What about if this scenario happens? And so they're going to make you think about scenarios that maybe you hadn't thought of. And so having that guidance from an attorney, I think, is so important with this. Like you mentioned earlier with your family, as entrepreneurs, we've built something, right? We're working hard to build this business and build up some assets and build up a lifestyle. And we want to pass that to that next generation. And we don't want them to squander it. And we don't want them to, maybe not follow our values. We want to pass along our values. We want them to do better than we do, right?
Succession planning. Yeah.
Yeah, that succession planning. You always want that next generation to build on top of what we've built, right? We're building that foundation, and I want to see you guys build it to new heights. And it's so important to have that planning in place to allow them to do that.
100% agree with you. And you're hitting the nail right on the head when it comes to not doing it yourself. When we're meeting with our trust attorney, we've been meeting with her for the last couple of weeks off and on, and she's asking all those questions. Have you thought about this? Have you thought about that? And those are very important. And you're thinking about estate tax and estate tax plan. There's so many different variables when it comes to the larger your estate gets. There's even more variables in there. And a do-it-yourself thing would never handle that. Again, this is one area where you don't want to save money. You want to spend money. You need a good estate planning attorney. And again, somebody who specializes in, and you might want to interview 2 or 3, or just check the prices of a couple different ones. And what I've seen a wide range of pricing, and I've talked to some people who paid, I think, way too much for these. So if it looks, the price seems way out of whack, you might want to look at some other ones too. Because sometimes they'll look at the size of your estate and I think charge you based on that. There should be a flat fee, maybe not per hour. I think I have looked at ours charged a flat fee, no matter how long it takes, no matter how many times we go back and forth. And I kind of like that. What do you think about that, Wade?
Yeah, there's a couple of different things to look for. And again, it's personal taste, whatever you're comfortable with. I charge flat fees. And like you said, the attorney you're working with charges flat fees. I feel like that's becoming more prevalent in the estate planning space. I like it better than the by the hour with the traditional billable hour, model that most attorneys work on, because I don't want you to feel rushed in this process. I want to be able to have that time to dedicate to that individual or that family and work them through this process at a pace that's comfortable for them, so they're not feeling rushed and like, hey, that clock's ticking, right? And that meter's running. I don't want to have that pressure on them. So that's why I like a flat rate. So personally, I would recommend look for an attorney who does a flat rate. There's a couple, obviously you can look at different reviews, see who's worked with these attorneys. And there's a couple other things as far as the processes that they do. If you have someone, this is again, just my personal opinion. I see these people who sometimes work with an estate planning attorney, and then it's like, they just hand them a stack of papers in an envelope at the end. Okay, done. Have a good day. See you later. That would concern me. For my clients, I put it together in a portfolio for you. You're going to have a nice portfolio all laid out, easy to identify. If you're looking for a particular document, it's going to be easy to locate, because I want to respect, again, this is your life's work. I want to show it the respect that it deserves. And I'm going to present you with a nice product at the end of this process. That's something that encapsulates all that work and energy that you've put in throughout your life. And then also, I'm going to be there to follow up with you every few years, because as you mentioned, I got my will done, but I haven't updated it in 15 years. Well, it might not do what you want it to do, because life happens. And I've gotten remarried since then, and I've got new kids since then, and I've got grandkids, and somebody passed away, and this happened and that happened, and I've changed jobs, and I've added assets, I've got new properties, and boy, all of that stuff happens along life, and we need to update that. So you really should be having your estate planning reviewed every 3 to 5 years, just to make sure that it's current, and your attorney should be around for that. If this is an attorney who's just pumping them out, right? Here's your documents. See you later. That's not somebody you want to work with. I want somebody to build a long-term relationship with me, and I'm going to be around to help you update that throughout your life.
I love that. Christine, he comes alive when he talks about the law, doesn't he?
I know. And the law is not my unique genius, by the way. So I just hear Charlie Brown's teacher talking.
That's when you put your earbuds
That's when I
in
put
to
my
listen.
I love this, because I remember when we were in St. Louis when I first met you, you're so quiet, and I'm kind of the same way. When I'm a new environment, I kind of be quiet. I've been criticized for it, but boy, when you start talking about the law, you just light up and you just talk and talk and talk. But you say such valid, awesome stuff. So I love that. That's your unique genius. That's your unique gift to society, and that's great. Let me ask you, Christine. So you guys are high school sweethearts. You've been together a long time. You work together 24/7. I want to ask you both. How do you keep avoiding each other, driving each other crazy if you're always together? People ask Carol and I this all the time, but I want to ask you guys, how do you do it?
How do we keep, Wade brought up a good point the other day. The more we're together, I feel like the easier it is. And when we work apart, that's when we see conflict, actually, which maybe is the opposite for a lot of people. We just really work well together. And I don't know if that's just because we've been together since I was 15 and he was 16. So we just know each other so well now. But I think that kind of helps, is just knowing, like I had said in the previous episode, the podcast, was knowing our lanes and where we each have strengths and weaknesses. That really helps.
What about you, Wade?
Yeah, I think the understanding each other's strengths and weaknesses, I think that's a really important part. Like you said, I'm kind of a quiet person,
and I'm not
nature, and she's more of the spotlight. And so that's why I say, like in our business, she's the face of the business, right? Because she excels in that area. You put the spotlight on her, give her a microphone, and she's going to do great. She's going to come alive. I'm the opposite. I don't want the spotlight shined on me. I don't want to be on stage. So finding those strengths and weaknesses, finding out, kind of our roles, I guess, has been really important. Who does the cooking, who does the shopping, who does these things, who does taxes, so.
I don't do the cooking.
You and Carol have a lot in common. Carol tries once in a while.
I try once in a while. It always comes out wrong. So,
Right.
And when you have somebody, your partner, who can cook so much better than you, why even bother?
Yeah, Carol does. I love to cook, so that's not a problem at all. But other than Carol and I think you guys have it probably the most together of any couple I have met. At least the face that I see of you, which I believe is 100% the real you, because I gotten to know you so well, and that's kudos to you guys. I think you're the most connected, best working together couple in the childcare business that I've ever met, and that's why I wanted to bring you guys on. And if anybody needs to, if you want to reach out to Christine, it's Christine at childcaregenius.com. And you can ask her, say, how do you do it? How do you work with your husband? My husband drives me crazy. Keep doing it. The longer you do it, the easier it gets. And come on a workation. We'll refine some of those for you as well, for sure.
Definitely.
And sandwiches. You got to go get them sandwiches while they're working.
You gotta feed them.
Angry.
Never let the wife get hangry.
Oh, yep. I always make sure I go get lunch for us when we're at work. So
Wade, what do you do to relax and unwind?
Oh gosh. Like she said, I'm not a music person. I don't know why. It just doesn't speak to me the way it does to her. I'm a learner, and so that's why I like podcasts or audiobooks. I love it. I want to learn things. And if I'm driving an hour somewhere, to me, it's like that's an hour that I could be learning something new. The gym, I love going to the gym and working out. So that's something I've been trying to get back into. This whole pandemic thing threw us all for a loop, and the gym shut down, and it messed up my routine. And so I'm still struggling to get myself back in that groove and get that routine. But being in the gym, I found really helps me. I'm I'm a leg bouncer. I don't know if it's ADHD or what it is, but my leg's always going when I'm sitting here right now. It's probably bouncing, and so I've got to find an outlet to burn that energy off. So I love working out.
I'm a leg bouncer too. I read something one time. It said highly intelligent people are leg bouncers because we're filling voids. We're filling voids. We can't be doing just one thing at a time. Our brain has to be doing multiple things. It's a higher sophistical level of intelligence. At least that's what I tell myself anyway.
I'm glad this is recorded. That sounds probably accurate.
Play it back anytime she makes you feel less than super intelligent.
We've got a permanent record now.
Thanks, Brian.
Yeah. His head didn't need any more inflating, right, Christine?
No.
Once you got that law degree, you were done, right? Well, this has been an absolute pleasure. Carol and I love you both. Thank you so much for being a blessing to our listeners and being good friends to us. We've learned as much from you as you've learned from us, and we look forward to getting to know you even better in the future. And you'll see Christine and Wade at our conference in Jamaica in September. She's going to be one of our speakers. And if you want, they're probably going to help me with the session on how to work together without killing each other. So definitely, if you're a husband and wife working together or just partners or business partners, and you want to know how to do it, come to our conference in Jamaica. So we'll let you guys go for now, but thanks again. And best of luck to you guys. Thank you so much.
Yeah. Thank you, Brian.
That was very good information.
Yeah, it was. Wade really knows his stuff. He's a great attorney. He's a great business partner. He's even a good maintenance guy. I hear he cleans a mean toilet and he does good maintenance. And also he's really good at doing lunch runs for taking care of Christine. He's an awesome supportive spouse, but he's also an amazing attorney as well.
It's time for open enrollment for our spring semester at the Childcare Genius University.
So each quarter we open up for new students. And on March 23rd at 1 p.m. Eastern, you're going to learn all about the amazing changes that we've made. Plus, we'll be adding a new level for home providers, which Wade's wife, Christine, is going to be the coach of.
To register, visit childcaregenius.com/university.
And this concludes episode 32 of the Childcare Genius podcast. Thank you so much for taking time out of your busy life to spend a little bit of time with us.
And just a reminder to hit the subscribe button so you won't miss a future episode of the Childcare Genius podcast. And we'll see you next week. Bye.
Bye-bye.
Thank you for listening to the Childcare Genius podcast. If you enjoyed the show, please do us a favor and hit the subscribe button so you don't miss a future episode. Don't forget to visit our website at childcaregenius.com to see a list of services we offer to help grow your childcare business. Until next time, thank you for being a part of the Childcare Genius community.